Bhaktivedanta, Swami Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, Text number 37. Deham chatam na charamasitam utitam bha.
Deham chatam na charmastitita uthitmam va.
Siddho vipasyati yato jagamat svarupam.
Devat upetam atha devasadapetam.
Vaso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandha.
Vaso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandaha.
Deha chatam na charamasitam utitam bha.
Deham chatam na charmastitita uthitam va.
Siddho vipasyati yato jagamat svarupam.
Siddho vipashyati yato dhagyamat svarupam. Devat upetam atha devasadapetam. Yasho yata parikritam madhiramadhandaha. Deham chatam na charmastititam uthitam va.
Siddho vipasyati yato jagamat svarupam.
Siddho vipashyati yato dhagyamat svarupam. Devadupem atiteva vasadapetam. Vasso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandaha.
Deham chatam na charmastittam utitam va.
Deham chatam na charmastitita uthitam va.
Siddho vipasyati yato jagamat svarupam.
Siddho vipashyati yato dhagyamat svarupam.
Devadupetam athamadanda.
Yaso yatha prakritam madhiramadanda. Deham chatam na charmastititam uthim va.
Deham chatam na charmastittam utitam va.
Siddho vipashyati yato adhyagamat svarupam.
Siddho vipashyati yato dhagamat svarupam.
Devat upetam atha deva vasadapetam.
Devadupetam atha vasadapetam.
Vaso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandaha.
Vaso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandaha. Deham chatam na charmastittam uthitam va.
Deham chatam na charmastititam uthim va.
Siddho vipashyati yato dhagamat svarupam.
Siddho vipashyati yato dhagamat svarupam.
Devadupetam atha deva vasadapetam.
Vaso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandaha. Deham chatam na charmastititam uthitam va. Siddho vipashyati yato dhagamat svarupam. Devadupetam atha deva vasadapetam. Vaso yatha parikritam madhiramadhandaha. Siddho vipashyati yato adhyagamat svarupam. Devadupetam atha deva vasadapetam. Vaso yatha parikritam
Tam Madhiramadhandaha. Deham, material body,
Cha, and tam,
and
that,
that,
na, not, charama, last, stitam, sitting,
Pashyati,
can conceive, yataha, because, adhigamat, he has achieved, Swarupam, his real identity, Daivat, according to destiny, Upetam, arrived, Ata, moreover, Deva Vasat, according to destiny, Apetam, departed, Vasaha, clothing, Yatha, as, Parikritam, put on, Mandira Madhandaha, one who is blinded by intoxication. Translation. This is Canto 3, Chapter 8, Chapter 28, Kapila's instruction from devotional service, section 37. Because he has achieved his real identity, the perfectly realized soul has no condition of this same personality of Godhead, and who engages 100% in the service of the Lord, forgets his material bodily demands. So, we've been reading, hearing, discussing the yogi's meditation upon the Supersoul within the heart, Vishnu. And these are Lord Kapila's instructions on devotional service. Previously, in the previous verse, it has been described that one's mind ceasing from all material reactions, situated in their own glory as a spirit soul, transcendental to all material conceptions, so seeing things spiritually. They also realise the truth of the relationship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and discovers that pleasure and pain, as well as their interactions which he attributed to his own self, are actually due to false ego, which is a product of ignorance. So this section here is describing how the yogi, the spirit soul, the aspiring bhakta, revives the relationship with the personality of Godhead. And then in this verse here, he is giving further understanding of the particular point, how one relates to one's own material body. Describing that person is just like an intoxicated person. The concept of the material body tends to disappear, how it is moving and acting. Very important in many different ways, because in one sense it is evidence of someone who has actually become spiritually elevated. We have a situation in the world which has pretty much always existed, but of course in the Kali Yuga these things become worse, in that everyone who may have a religious inclination or may want to pose themselves as religious or spiritual, probably a better way to put it, Krishna time. How do we tell? And of course, the governments, the authorities, don't have to deal with entire populations and militant groups armed to the teeth, with rocket launchers, machine guns, who, in the name of their religious sentiment, are doing all sorts of activities in this world, and yet because the authorities in this world cannot distinguish between what is, there's this false understanding that everyone has a right to their own religious faith. The trouble is there any religious faith at all, or is that just a veneer for some very simple demoniac intentions? So, what happens in Kali Yuga, we said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared in Kali Yuga, the Lord is called Chanavatar, so hidden, covered. The Lord is sometimes called Tri Yuga. He appears in 3 yugas, manifest openly, and in Kali Yuga he comes in somewhat of a disguised, hidden way, covered. Because in Kali Yuga everyone takes everything cheaply. As Prabhupada would say, that in India you would find God loitering on every corner. Everyone is God loitering on some corner doing some crazy nonsense. So a very cheap thing. Yes, here's God on this corner, there's God here, and you look on the other, yes, there's another God over there. You go and walk up there, yeah, there's another God up there. And down there, so many gods. So, the essence of everything, the science, the practicality, everything is missing. It's just an empty show in Kali Yuga. And yet the governments say, oh yes, but that is their religious faith, let them do that. We see in the times of Sri Bhaktivedanta that there was, he was a magistrate, of course, and this is the proper role of authorities. So the Bhaktivedanta was at one stage was the superintendent, I think at that stage was the superintendent of the Jagannath Puri temple and a magistrate, so he had an official government responsibility to make sure that cheats and rascals were not causing trouble. So there was one bishop was saying, he was a very powerful yogi. He could make fire come from his eyes.
And you went Mahavishnu?
What's that?
He
said he was Mahavishnu, and he had a couple of friends, Brahma and Shiva. And so, this was tolerated to some degree until some of the wealthy and aristocratic wives were going, and he was bewildering their mind, and then, engaging in illicit sex with them. So this caused, these sort of activities to be stopped. So then, back to Bhaktivedanta, he went there and he, had a discussion with him, and discussing about Jagannath, Lord Jagannath in the temple, and the yogi said, oh, I am a yogi, he's just wood. So then he understood he's a rascal. So, he gradually exposed him, and it ended up in that yogi's death. I think he took poison or something.
No, there was a Krishna who shaved his head.
Shaved his head, and then because he'd been fasting, trying to kill sort of Bhaktivedanta by his mystic potencies, and he'd been fasting, summoning all his power to try and kill him and his family. When they cut off his head, his yogic power was destroyed, and he sort of, after some time, he passed away. So, So that's the proper position of people in authority. If someone is causing difficulty, because they should be stopped. Not that, this is their religious faith and everyone has the right to practice. So it's like saying, yes, this yogi, look, it's his religious faith, let him, cheat all his women and control the mind, and hypnotise them, have sex with them, create children, that's his faith. That's nonsense. And these days, it's even worse. Yes, they have machine guns and bombs and this and that and the other knives, but that is their faith. They can do like that. No one can tell because the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam we get actual information who a devotee can see just straight away. And just like Bhaktivedanta called, he asks 2 or 3 questions of his yogi, immediately, you're a fake. And the devotee, because they understand the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, they can perceive in 2 minutes. They can speak to someone and understand, this person has very little, if any, spiritual advancement. In fact, they're advancement. So, how do they tell? Because the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam describes, of course, the symptoms of the different stages. So this is the beauty of going through the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam like this, is you see that each stage of advancement has a particular symptom characteristic. So what happens these days is that people start from the top. When you become a religious person, you start from the top. That I have had some realization, and now I'm in communion with God. You start from the very top. Which is, it's a very interesting concept. And somehow people, they feel that something has made me take up some religious course. So now I feel that I'm acting in complete harmony with the personality of Godhead. It describes here that purple. Srila Prabhupada says, the person whose mind is completely dovetailed with the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who engages 100% in the service of the Lord, he gets his material body demands. So this is the question. Is someone dovetailed with the personality of Godhead? Is that their advanced position? Generally not. I mean, we know, even in ISKCON, where devotees practice Krishna consciousness daily, very sincerely, over many, many years, we understand that being dovetailed at every moment with the personality of Godhead is not a cheap thing, even for devotees. They've dedicated their lives properly to that, and trying to give up other motivations and we see that a person is claiming that I'm dovetailed. I understand what God is thinking and what He wants me to do. Which is quite a statement for someone who can't even control their own mind. If one doesn't even understand oneself, someone is quite often actually people take to spirituality or religions and actually feel lost, completely lost. Quite often they get rock bottom. I'm just so lost, and then they'll do something. They'll walk out in the desert for 40 days, or take some drugs, or start cramming, the Quran or the Bible. From that point of being completely lost, a couple of days later, I'm But actually, they actually still lost. They have very little understanding of the mind, the body. They claim to be, their relationships with other living entities are very dysfunctional. So they're claiming, I have this intimate relationship, I understand relationships so well and personalities so well, I can understand the personality of Godhead whose qualities are as deep as the ocean. He thinks in terms of his intelligence is unlimited. He knows all things because he is in all places at all times. He knows everything, past, present, future. He knows everyone. And because I'm sort of on that level, we're just, on an equal level, me and God. Like this. But the reality is, generally, people, they have very difficult ability to, they can't function in their own family. People have difficulty with their husbands, they have difficulty with their wives, people have difficulty with their best friends. They go to an educational system and they have difficulty. In the workplace, so many difficulties. So many dysfunctional relationships. And yet, the personality of Godhead, they feel, I have this expertise, I'm way up on this level of love and intelligence and dealing. So, and of course, also here describing that in the previous verse it describes that one is situated in one's own glory. One understands that one is the spirit soul. There's no possibility of understanding the super soul if one cannot understand. One cannot distinguish between one's own self as a spirit soul and the material body. How can one understand the personality of God? That is the first requirement to understanding the personality of Godhead, is to at least understand a humble Muslim that I am of that same spiritual quality. I'm not this body, I'm an eternal spirit soul. If one has full faith in that, and therefore endeavours not to act according to the demands of the body and the mind, that is one symptom that a person is having transcendental knowledge that destroys all one's doubts, that gives one very strong faith that one is a spirit soul. Such a person can then begin to understand the personality of Godhead. Understanding he is of the same spiritual nature, eternal. One who understands, one of the first things, symptoms of someone who understands that they're not this material body, is that, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, they have a vision of eternity. When one comes to understand. So, a spirit soul thinks in terms of eternity. Someone in connection with the material body thinks in terms of what is relative to this body in this lifetime. There's that story of the yogi. There's a yogi, very hairy yogi, meditating. And he was there in all sorts of extreme conditions. Someone described and asked that he should build some sort of shelter. He was just out in the open. I think he, every millennium or something, thousands of years, I can't remember the exact, it's quite, one hair would fall from his body.
Yeah. Loma. Yeah.
So So every so many, some long epoch of time, one hair would fall, and he would live until, the duration of all those hairs fall. He was there for millions and millions of years. So he said, there's no need to build a shelter because I'm not here for very long. If you see the endeavour that people go to build a home, to the point where it takes almost a lifetime these days, for most families, it takes almost a lifetime to build that home. Whereas the rest of your lifetime you're paying it off, working hard even in old age. It's not quite the vision of eternity, is it? If someone is thinking, I eternally want to serve the person of Godhead, live close to a temple, and worship the Lord, and you get a nice place close to it, that's a different concept. But for the sake of setting up a home in the material world, that's it. And an extended version of that is nationality. I want to establish this country. We have to correct this political situation. We have to fight this war. We have to do so many different things. These civilizations, they come and go. The Roman Empire is gone. The Egyptian Empire is gone. The Vedic civilization is gone. All the civilizations, that sometimes they last for thousands of years, and they're just gone. Everything we know of now, in a couple of thousand years, all changed. The way things go these days, in 100 years, 50 years, 10 years, God forbid, everything different. Everything collapsed. The Vedic astrologers, some of the elders from past generations, from the different books, they describe the next war, which we're probably already in it. That it'll be the end of the Christianity, Muslim religion, a lot of the mainstream religions. They'll just cease to exist as we know it. There have been a lot of religious organisations that have come and gone, and that will also be just like that. That will last for a certain amount of time and just finish. So one who has a vision of eternity, as a spirit soul, they're thinking in those terms. My eternal life, of which this material body, this entire lifetime, is just a moment. It's like this, like being in the spiritual world, you blink. So blink is when you blink. That's your whole existence in the material world. Billions and billions of years, and you blink, eyes shut. You open up and there with Krishna again, and that is the entire duration of billions and billions of years in the material world. It's just you can't have a part of a moment in the spiritual world. It's nothing. Very fleeting. So that this vision. Now the super soul, of course, never ever comes down to that limited material conception. Always on the spiritual platform of eternity, but all knowing on that platform. Even when we come to our spiritual life, we're still not all knowing. The super soul is all knowing. So if one is in association, if one feels that one is picking up a certain intelligence, beginning with I'm not this body, beginning with that vision of eternity from the super soul, it would manifest in how one lives one's life and one's attention to the body, and things like politics and nationality and constructing homes for the sake of home, families, and everything like that is really aspects of Dāsa and different, twigs and things. You walk past an ant colony. Does anyone ever stop? Look at the social interactions, get involved, pick a friend. Oh, I like this ant. Make friends with this ant. I'm going to help people. You don't get involved. It just means nothing. You walk past. And our entire civilization, from someone with even from the demigods, what to speak of sadhus and the transcendental platform, but just speaking moments. Some of these personalities, who like Narada Muni and personalities like that, who exist for the duration of Brahma's life, in that sense. You can imagine just seeing the civilizations just come and go. So they take interest, just as we take interest in the ant colonies. We try not to, crush them and poke sticks down there or cause too much trouble. We make sure that ants have a home somewhere. We try not to. But otherwise, it's so the demigods also make sure everything's going on. But don't try to send too many tidal waves. So. You'd expect that person in the association with the super soul is manifesting that, and that tends to manifest the way one deals with one's body, one's family. Now, of course, in devotional service, although we are detached from this life, understanding it's just a moment, it doesn't mean that we don't pay full attention to our family, to our body, to our homes, to our cars, to our possessions, because all of them are paraphernalia we are using, not paraphernalia, I don't call it family paraphernalia, but some lovely paraphernalia at home with a wife and a couple of kids. They're the sisters, and we cooperate in the path of devotional service. But, so, devotees are not neglectful. In the same way that when we're dealing with the deities, when we're dealing with devotees, we're dealing with, if we're doing paraphernalia for the deity, very, very careful. A devotee will actually treat, the different, their home, their shoes, everything, that this is being used in Krishna service. I remember one time, but not with attachment, but because it's utilised in the service of Krishna, it is very dear to the devotees for a transcendental reason, not for a material reason, not due to the bodily, attachment. And one time in Sydney, I was doing the Sankirtan, we drove from Sydney and we drove way out into the country to do Sankirtan. When we got back to the temple of my Swami, he was a Brahmachari at that stage, he was, this is the temple before we got the King's Cross. And he said, "Where did you go today?" We told him. He said, "Really?" He said, "You drove all the way." This is like we went practically covered the other side of New South Wales. "You drove all the way there and all the way back today." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You must have been going pretty fast." And then he analysed how fast we're driving. He said, "This car is Krishna's property. You're the thruster," which Brahmachari chose to do, thrash cars. That's not now. Yeah, that happens now. But, so he said, "I want you to go outside and pay your obeisances to the car." Which we did. We went out, he came and watched. We all paid our obeisances. We're so sorry, car. Thrashed you. You are, the transient car. So, that detachment for utilising things for one's own body or mind, that is absent. That is one of the symptoms. But for a devotee, that that attachment is there because the devotees, they're serving Krishna nicely, we have a loving relationship with them. Prabhupada says association with devotees is tantamount to associating with Krishna. You have the association with devotees in which Krishna is there. And so very dear. And the paraphernalia is also, we take great care because that is a sign of our love for Krishna. But that detachment is there, and the consciousness of associating, not only as a spiritual soul, but associating with the personality of Godhead must manifest. It's like if you go to a comedy show. So there's one person there, he will carry the whole audience. And he will make you laugh from start to finish. If he's a good comedian, he knows it. They'll all be laughing for 2 hours. They'll come out very happy. So, they are associated with a person, and you pick up that person's mood, some of their, concepts like that. How is it possible to associate with the personality of Godhead and not manifest some of that mood? Just like the other day, someone said, "Oh, you're very kind," and I thought to myself, it's not my credit as a devotee of Krishna. Krishna is very kind. If you're associated with Krishna, and serving Krishna, representing him, you'd expect devotees also to become very kind. That you pick up that sort of, just like children, they're playing someone's birthday. One little kid wants to eat the whole cake, take all the toys, take them, hide them, and I want to share them. But the parents are very sharing. So all the kids pick up on that mood like that. If you're in association with the personality of Godhead, you pick up on that mood. Everything on this planet belongs to the Supreme Lord, and it is meant for the benefit of every other living entity. You pick up on that mood. I'm certainly not going to go racing down the street looking for someone to kill to, take something for my own pleasure, and then say that that's because I'm associated with God. It just doesn't make sense. It's just an obvious disparity in one's consciousness for someone who's, there has to be some symptom. Everything belongs to the personality of Godhead. He is all good. He is the Supreme Father, loving Father. He is the supremely intelligent Buddha. If one is taking his mood in his association, these things will all manifest in one's activities and one's personality. If they're not, then it means that person really is not, has no real understanding. There's no concept of the personality of God. That association, that communion is cut off sometimes as far as possible can be. So, and that elevation, as we said, that understanding of the personality of Godhead, that's a topmost elevation. But generally when people start spirituality or religion, they begin from that point. That's where I am. Yesterday, I was having so much trouble, I was, rock bottom, I read this book, I bumped into this person, and then it dawned on me that, I have I'm on a spiritual journey from now on, and, I'm living in harmony with God from this point on. And from that point, they understand that everything they do, they have no ability to distinguish between their mind and senses and the personality of God prepared within the heart. In fact, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, those in Tamaguna actually take the wrong thing to be the right thing. Actually, someone in Rajaguna, they have difficulty distinguishing things. But in Tamaguna, they actually take the exact wrong thing to be the right thing. And then they stand firm on that. And that's what goes on in the name of religiosity. So here, of course, in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Kapila, he will mention that these yogis at this point, when they realise the personality of Godhead, the super soul within their heart, they come to the very, very start platform of bhakti. On that platform of transcendental realisation, which is not even touched upon by the multitude of spiritual and religious personalities in this world, not even touched upon. They're going in the opposite direction. That's the beginning point of Bhakti Yoga. Because from that point, one then has to learn, how do I reciprocate a relationship with the personality of Godhead? How do I do that? You know, you have marriage counsellors, you have this thing, you have tribunals and mediations. People fail, you know, on just the basic level. People can't even look after their own children. We can't even look after themselves. In Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel, everyone is quarrelling with everyone. And my Swami says that, you know, if you put someone in a room by themselves and there's no one to quarrel, they'll argue with themselves. The mind. Back and forth. So, at that point, one is recommended by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita and in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to take association to learn the art of bhakti or reciprocating with the personality of Godhead from a devotee. Someone who is very expert and already has an established relationship with the personality of Godhead. So of course, for most people, and especially in different religious organisations, that's the worst thing you could say. Oh yeah, someone from Christianity, Muslim religion, you're having trouble, understanding what is religion. Pop down to the Hare Krishna temple, have a little prasad, and I'll, say, oh yeah, sure. They're not going to do it. That's the last thing. They're the last people. They're the very last people on this earth that many people who are interested in religion and spirituality will talk to, is to come and have a chat with Hare Krishna, have a little prasad. And yet, how is it possible when one is not even near the platform of the spiritual quality, spiritual realization, and then they're foolishly, crazily thinking they have some intimate relationship with the Lord, they need to speak to a teacher. And it seems to them it's the most illogical thing that you could do, yet it's very logical. Just like when people go to primary school, they spend 6 years in primary school. What's this one up to? Where's he? Brett. You have Brett?
He's not going to school.
He's starting to.
He's not going, he's doing homeschool.
Oh, he's doing homeschool, but Brett. Very good. So another 5 or 6 years, and then secondary. Yeah. Now at the end of primary school, homeschool, if you make the trip, it's well done. It's not an easy job, but it gives you good association. Then you'll say, now you will not go to any other teacher. I have taught you. You will not go to anyone besides me. No, you will say, from what I have given you, you are now ready for another teacher. And they may take up secondary education. It's a natural thing that when one finishes one course of education, and then to take advantage of everything they not as if at the end of primary school someone says, now forget everything we taught you, waste of time, go and learn something else in another school. No, it's everything you've learned is preparation for your next teacher. And then they go through secondary school and they get to the end of that. Everything you've learned is preparation